Hello, listeners, and welcome to Teachers Have Issues. Yes, I am your host, Lana the Educator. If you're a first-time listener on this channel, welcome. Here we explore the latest educational trends, tackle pressing issues facing the education sector, and conduct insightful interviews with people making a difference. We also share stories of triumph and innovation from classrooms across the globe. If you're interested in all of this, then like and subscribe. Today on Teachers Have Issues, yes, I welcome my guest, Serge F. Viau. Serge has been a Kiwanian for 30 years with the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. He's been a charter member of the Centennial Internet Club that was chartered in 2014 and a charter member of the Kiwanis Club of Northeastern Ontario, chartered on February 24th, 2020. During that time, he achieved distinguished status as club president, secretary, lieutenant governor, and is currently still serving as club treasurer and Division II treasurer. He has chaired numerous club committees and been honored with the Harvey Buchanan Memorial Distinguished Service Award from the Kiwanis Club of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. He was governor of the Eastern Canada and the Caribbean District of Kiwanis International for 2014 to 2015 during the Kiwanis International Centennial Year. At the district level, he has made contributions on many committees, including chair of the Past Lieutenant Governor's Committee and on the district board. Serge is a recipient of the Godfrey Dyer Award and is a Diamond Level Mel Osborne, a Walter Zello Fellow, and Centennial Award recipient. In addition to all of this involvement and successes, Serge has been the recipient of numerous community awards for his philanthropy and hands-on volunteer service. He has held and continues to hold positions of responsibility on several boards and committees. On the professional front, he is President and CEO of Viau Financial Group, Inc., since August 30th, 1998. Serge resides in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and he is the proud father of 3 grown children and the happy grandpa of 7 grandchildren. Welcome, Serge, to Teachers Have Issues, yes.
I'm happy to be here, Lana. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for agreeing. Of course, I want to talk more about what is Kiwanis about and its main mission. You've been a Kiwanian for over 30 years, and based on what we're reading there in your bio, you've held numerous leadership roles. What first inspired you to join Kiwanis International?
What inspired me, really, I was asked by a friend of mine to come to a meeting and explore the possibility of serving the children in my community. And after the meeting, I enjoyed the meeting tremendously, met some new friends, and I decided to join the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore a long time ago, back in 1994.
Yeah. What is Kiwanis about, if somebody asked you?
Well, Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. This is their mission statement.
And do this focus on any specific causes? Is it just one mission?
The mission of Kiwanis International is serving the children of the world everywhere. So that's basically what the main focus is on children.
And what might that look like? What are the specific examples of that the groups might do? What might be some specific examples of serving children?
One of the main service that Kiwanis International has as a service organization is the service leadership programs that are in the schools, and it starts with the K kids in the younger grades, 3, 4, and 5, and then it moves on to the Builders Club, and then which is middle school, you would call it, and then the Key Club, which is high school, and there's also Circle K, which is college and university post-secondary. Also, Kiwanis also has a club for adults with abilities, called the Action Club. So those are basically focusing on children and adults with abilities to do, along with other different programs.
Yeah. So what makes the clubs at these different levels, besides age group, what is it that they mimic the structure of the adult clubs?
Exactly. The even starting with the K Kids Club
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
are in grades 3 and 4 and 5
Mm-hmm.
are are operating similar to what a Kiwanis club, adult club looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They do have election, they have a president,
Mm-hmm.
a vice president, they have a secretary, they have a treasurer,
Okay.
they have a couple of directors, and they hold meetings themselves
Mm-hmm.
and they decide what service they want to do. And usually in the schools, the service they do would be their community is their immediate schools themselves and surrounding area of their schools.
Okay. So how do you determine the needs of the community or the groups that you might support? You've been in many clubs. You've served in the Centennial Club and then you're in your local club. How do you determine the needs of the community?
One of the ways that we find what the community need is that Kiwanis International has a lot of different tools at our disposal, and one
Mm-hmm.
of them is doing a community analysis. A
Mm-hmm.
community analysis is where a club would meet individuals like the mayor of the city, um, the fire department chief, the chief of police,
Mm-hmm.
different organization, social services leaders, and determine really what's the need of the community as far as children is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done that several years ago at the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore in Sault Ste. Marie, where we determined the need of the city was to assist in developing playgrounds for children
Mm-hmm.
in parks that didn't have anything. So that's was how we went about to create a new playground at a park.
Really nice. Good. So how do you attract new volunteers, or are you allowed to have donors to support your cause? If so, how do you attract new volunteers?
The best way to attract a volunteer is to ask someone to come to a service project with you,
Mm-hmm.
because then they can see what you're actually doing hands on. They can
Mm-hmm.
see the fun that you're having at your service project, and they get to meet new people. And if they like what they see, then it will be common to say, "Hey, would you like to join our movement?" And and that's really the best way to ask people to join is first experiencing themselves about the service that you do and who you're helping.
And what is expected of a member once they've joined Kiwanis?
When they join, we do expect that a member would be involved with the club,
Mm-hmm.
involved with the community, doing service project, doing
Mm-hmm.
fundraising. On top of that, we also like to ask the individual what do they think the
Mm-hmm.
need would be, and that's another source of getting information from a diverse group of individuals to promote the objects of Kiwanis, really.
Mm-hmm. Is there a payment involved in joining the club? I know it's a volunteer group, but is there any fee that?
Yeah, that's something that comes up all the time.
Uh-huh.
There is a membership fee,
Mm-hmm.
but membership fee are not just um, related to service clubs
Mm-hmm.
like Kiwanis.
Mm-hmm.
Any organization that you belong in, I've been to a lot of community fairs and so forth, where the community comes together to showcase what their organization do.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them have an annual membership fee to join,
Right.
because you can't run an organization without some money, because you have to pay the club, whatever it is, you have to pay for, bank account fees, checks, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to pay your main organization, because organization like Kiwanis and other service organization You're basically you're chartered or you're part of the larger organization that provides services. And so there's a cost for that. So our fee really is not that high.
Right.
And if we have individuals that may need financial assistance, really want to join the club and need financial assistance, then the club are free to explore ways to sponsor those individuals and help them if they're in financial need of it.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious about, when I was reading your bio, I kept seeing chartered and distinguished. Can you tell us what it means to be a chartered club?
A charter club by Kiwanis means the Kiwanis International assigns you the club with a club number, and that's your charter. The charter happens when you organize, and for Kiwanis, you need 15 members to become a club. Once you have 15 members and more, you make an application to Kiwanis International to obtain a charter. And nowadays, they do call it the organization meeting, but it's still a charter where they give you a certificate that you can operate and use the name of Kiwanis in your club, such as the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore was chartered, a long time ago, and the new clubs too. So the Distinguish is a Distinguish has a program that determines what clubs need to do and to be a distinguished based on Kiwanis International description of what the distinguished means. That can change from year to year depending on who's at the leaders.
Right.
So that is kind of a framework that encourages clubs to follow this, to provide service to their community. And if they do that, then they could be distinguished, and then you get to receive the distinguished status.
Okay. So what if I wanted to start a club in a school? How do we go about doing that?
Well, you need three things to start a club in the school. First, you need a sponsoring Kiwanis club in the area.
Okay.
Second of all, you need a school. You need to talk to the school principal or those in charge to see if they would have like a K Kids or a Builders Club in elementary school, let's say. And you need to have a teacher that is willing to be the teacher advisor in charge of the group. So you need that. And then you need the students to volunteer. So it's not always easy because sometimes schools don't want that. They have their own programs, or or you can't find a teacher that will donate their time towards that. And you have to work within the school system because, as you're probably aware, school systems are different countries by countries. So what works in one area may not work in the other area. There might be rules, and regulations.
Yeah. Let's talk about you a little bit. Throughout your time in Kiwanis, you've had various leadership roles or positions as club president and secretary and lieutenant governor and all of that. How did all of these roles shape your approach to leadership?
That's a good question. Each role, one of the things that a service organization like Kiwanis has is many training modules, training program, leadership skills, and if all the different roles that you do, if you really want to do your 100% or of it's like a position. So you learn about the position and you grow, and then you want to try new things, step out of the square and try new ventures. I guess I'm the type of person that likes to try new things and always give 100% and sometimes 120%, because and along the way, I always found the more I gave is the more I received back. So that's really rewarding. And sometimes when you help children, you don't know, and I've learned that throughout the years, is that you don't know what it means to a child when you're helping them. You may not see it right away, but to that child may remember for the rest of their lives, this person helped me. Kiwanis helped me with some financing for whatever they might need, or they were just there to support them, like in schools, you know. So,
And you've also chaired numerous club committees. What have been some of the more impactful or memorable projects that you've been involved with in your time in Kiwanis?
I'm going to refer back to my main club, Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore, over the years. I remember in 2003, 2004, going back almost 20 years now, we launched, I was asked by, it's called the ACT Foundation. I was asked by them to organize Kiwanis to put in a CPR program in all the high schools. So the CPR program involves purchasing the mannequins for the program, the booklets, educating the teachers at every high school we had in the area. So that was challenging. We got 50% funding from the province, and the other 50%, we started a committee and went out and recruited corporate donations to sponsor each school. So at the end of the day, the sponsors, the corporate sponsors, are the one that paid for the program, and they got a plaque in the school. They got recognition. It was public media, so and it was a 10-year program, and now after 20 years, it's still running.
Wow.
So that was probably my first big venture of raising funds for that.
Lasting impact.
Yeah.
I noted in reading the bio that you've been recognized with prestigious awards such as the Godfrey Dyer, the Mel Osborne at the Diamond Level, and Walter Zeller Fellowship. What are those, and could you explain the significance of those within Kiwanis?
The Mel Osborne is a Kiwanis. It's a Kiwanis Foundation of Canada award. Kiwanis Foundation of Canada started a Mel Osborne to commemorate Mel Osborne, who was a past governor and was actually international trustee when he unfortunately passed away. So that award was given to me by my club for things you do. And it also you issue the award, but also the award includes a donation to the Kiwanis Foundation of Canada. So the Godfrey Dyer Award is from the Kiwanis Foundation of Jamaica, and that was presented to me. I just can't remember. It was a long time ago. I can't remember what I did for it, but it was somebody purchased it for me, and that was to support the Kiwanis Foundation of Jamaica. So those are the type of awards that they have.
Which brings me to my next question. You've been governor of Eastern Canada and the Caribbean during the International Centennial year. What were some of the more memorable moments for you being governor during that period?
That period was very exciting because that's when Kiwanis turned 100 years old, and you see the organization on a different level. The more you move up from president to lieutenant governor in divisions and then to the district level, you get to meet other district governors around the world. You need to share more information on the worldwide. On top of that, we do get to visit some of the clubs in division, and being in Eastern Canada and the Caribbean, where we have 19 countries, our district includes 19 countries with diverse countries and cultures. That was very exciting to see how Kiwanis provides service in different countries, and it was very a big eye opener and a big learning experience to learn about the culture, what to do, what not to do. But fortunately, when you're in that position, I surrounded myself with people that can help you. You have your advisors, people, and the more you bring people in to help you in your circle, the better chance you have, and the more fun you have, and the better you can serve your district at that level.
Mm.
So it's like being the CEO of a large 9,000 members of and 230 clubs on a different level. So you're
Mhm.
doing the management thing, but you're also doing the groundwork for service and
Mm.
into different countries. So that was exciting, and also to meet people from different cultures. That was nice.
I think you kind of touched on it there because in addition to this extensive volunteer work, you've been president of this and CEO of Viau Financial Group. So how do you balance that professional responsibilities with these commitments you have to Kiwanis and other community service?
Yeah, that's another good question. I was lucky that I work for myself. I own the company, so
Right.
I had the flexibility to take time off. And then when I was governor, I was able to kind of work condense my workload under 3 days, so I could be on the road for 4 days. And you basically, from what I remember, it's the first our year starts October 1st. So from October 1st to December, during the holidays in December, I don't think I had a day off, really.
Wow.
It was either work on the business and work on Kiwanis, and go around every weekend. I was somewhere else traveling, whether I take a flight or drive a car. So really, I think that was my first break, was when the holiday season started in December. So I took a
Mm.
couple of weeks off, and then January you're back again
Mm.
working. So you have to work a lot of hours. So it's not, you still have to keep your business going. And fortunately, I was able to take that time off. Not every governor would be that lucky, if you're holding a job where your employer says, hey, you only have Saturday, Sunday off. That's a little
Mm-hmm.
challenging.
Right. So how do they, I mean, I guess you guys would have your, I think you call them classes or, in your network. What are some of, that's a challenge for them. How did they overcome some of those challenges, having not been having the unique experience like you to work for themselves? What is it? Did they have to take leave and things like that?
Yes, they may have to
Mm-hmm.
take a leave of absence from work and
Mm-hmm.
to do this job. So it's a different commitment than being
Mm-hmm.
the president of a club or even a division.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's very rewarding too, because you get to see so many different projects, and you meet more people. So I met a lot of friends from all over the world, and
Mm-hmm.
we're still in touch today. So.
What does it mean to be a governor? What are some of the roles or duties and responsibilities that a governor would have?
Well, the governor would be the chair of the board of trustees. So you have to manage the board of trustees.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a budget, um, work with the district secretary treasurer. Um, you also in charge of the lieutenant governors or lieutenant governors, depending on where you're from, throughout the district. So you have those classes. So you got to be in touch with what they're doing and to assist them. So it is a multifaceted position. You have the finance on one side, you have the policies on the other side, and you have to help your 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 lieutenant governors and trustees to provide them with assistance. So there's different meetings too. So you have
Right.
different board meetings and class of lieutenant governors meeting.
Mm.
So and then you have a convention to help organize two of them actually, and provide education modules for your chairs, because you have chairs in the district. So you have to
Um,
manage that.
okay. So Tell us about the conventions. What does that look like? Is it just in your hometown? Is it just in your country? How do conventions work?
Our convention could be anywhere in our Eastern Canada and Caribbean district.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the convention would be if a club or division wants to host a convention in their area, they would put a bid in,
Mm-hmm.
put a bid in and to say, we do have criteria. So for location criteria, that sizes. So we have many conventions in the islands.
Right.
Our convention are now mostly held in May.
Okay.
Um, and so we have convention, for example, in Ontario, in the Maritimes, in Quebec. We have conventions in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
Aruba, Bahamas. So whatever the country, Barbados too. So whatever the country, if they or the country or the area, if they want to host a convention, they can put a bid in. We usually plan convention about 3 years ahead of time, and
Okay.
there is a convention committee to assist the local group that wants to host, the local host, and so to help them with planning it. So it's not like you got to redo it all. It's just a set format.
So these conventions are in your district. There are other conventions because Kiwanis is not only a Canadian club, right? There would be other conventions elsewhere as well. What are those called? And
Have the Kiwanis International Convention on the international levels that could be anywhere in the world. They've been in Italy, Switzerland,
okay.
different countries, US, and they try to the convention also includes where you elect your officers and directors. The convention also has educational session, many educational program to educate your leaders, like club president, secretary, treasurer, membership chair, to educate them and provide them a learning experience going to a convention.
And reminding me, you said that the same thing would apply for the junior clubs, for the Kiwanis clubs in the high school and the Key Club and all of those. They would have the same district and international convention as well?
Yeah, not the elementary school, only Key Club and Circle K Club have their own convention. They also have their own board. They have an international board, and then they have a district board. They have their own little district, which is different than the adult club district. And sometimes they have a convention in their convention at the same time as the international convention. So that's common.
Okay. Have you been able to think about what issues teachers have? What would you like to share or tell the listeners? What issues from your perspective, think teachers have?
Well, that's a really good question again, and it's a difficult one to answer. But from my experience, for the teachers that I've seen, I've been involved with the K-Kids for a couple of years program, and now I'm a club advisor for the Builders Club.
Right.
That was just started by the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore. This is our second year. We've already been off and got the election done for the Builders Club, so lots of volunteers. And my perception of the two teacher advisors they were very dedicated to the program. So they take time out of their own personal time. The other thing too is they incorporate the curriculum, the school curriculum, into activities that the Builders Club do. That's what they did last year, and that's what they did before on the K-Kids program. So the things that I've noticed, coming out of the pandemic in 2022, I believe, although pandemic is still around, but
Mm.
coming out of the pandemic, and I kind of noticed in the school that um, some of the teachers' aid they had,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, different school calls them different, teacher's assistant or teacher's aide, that there are not as many now as there was before.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes that could be a detriment to students that require more one-on-one
Right.
one-on-one learning. So that's what they were doing, is helping students that have maybe issues at school. They work one-on-one, they're sitting with them. I haven't seen too many of those. Teacher's assistant right now seems that maybe the funding was cut or not, and that could leave some students that need more personal attention because the classroom size there, I think in Ontario, and I could be wrong, mandated to be under 30. So
Mm.
the teacher, if they're teaching a grade 6, they would not have more than 30. They might have only 24, 26 students in their class, but they're by himself to manage that many students, and teaching them all day is challenging, I would say.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it could be because of the funding.
Mm-hmm. What skills have you developed or improved uh, through your volunteering experience?
Um, Through my experience, not just Kiwanis, because I belonged to an association before, the
Mm-hmm.
Advocates Association for Life Insurance Underwriters and
Okay.
Investments.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also president of that organization
Mm-hmm.
on 3 occasions, and they do have a membership fee, which is a whole lot more than what Kiwanis is, because it is a um, professional association.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the skills, probably developed the skills, is speaking skills in front of large crowd,
Mm-hmm.
being prepared for your material. Um, Doing interviews is not always easy. Um, and just interacting with other people and trying to find out, you have to, in order to be, I find, in order to be a great leader, you need to understand your team. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the same skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, some individual have, they're different quadrants, different type of people, and knowing what type they are is a great help, because then you wouldn't ask somebody who's not. You just kind of divvy up the workload depending on the people's skill set, and
Mm-hmm.
that gives everybody a pretty good experience. Because if you're on a committee or doing something as a group, you want the entire group to have a good experience, right? You don't want somebody to have a bad experience because you didn't recognize their skill set or their lack of. And if they lack something, then you can assist them if they want to.
So, as we're talking about groups, of course, it's a volunteer group. I mean, volunteer at time, but we're still dealing with people. So, have you encountered any challenges dealing with groups of people, and how do you overcome them? Because as a group, you may have clashing personalities and cultures and perspectives and all of that. In your numerous leadership roles, how have you overcome them?
It would it is very challenging, because yeah, you would have conflict between individual people on a group or a team. So you're trying to make sure to keep the peace at all times. The other thing too, some people are more more aggressive than others, and some people are more
Mm.
passive. They won't speak their minds. They'll stay quiet. So you have to get them involved too, to make sure that they do participate, and everybody is on the same page.
Mm.
So I don't think it's all that easy. I think it's very difficult. Um, to do that and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you mentioned being the governor or past of Eastern Canada and the Caribbean, but before becoming the governor, you would have held leadership roles in Canada itself. Now, when you took on this role, where you had to go out into the Caribbean and experience these different countries and cultures, how did you navigate those differences while volunteering and holding that role?
I asked for help. As you probably know, I probably asked for help to guide me, and
Mhm.
I surrounded myself with a very close group of individual.
Mhm.
You're talking about when I was the governor of the
Mhm.
district.
Yes.
I was lucky. I had a vice governor that
Mhm.
I met, and we were just we were just visiting here recently, a
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and somebody asked us, "As how do you two get along?" Well, he said, "Well, we didn't always see eye to eye,
Mhm.
but we always made sure that we did a compromise. So we would compromise and and made sure we discussed this ahead of time so
Mhm.
that when it came to the meeting, we were on the same page.
All right.
So we were able to support each other. And so some things I might just do, and he would just shake his head and say, "No, that's not good." So we would talk about it beforehand. And then when
Mhm.
you have a group of people, I had individual because you go to different countries, and I remember I had to go to I remember when I went to I think it was the first one was in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
I was I was asked to go at a church service,
Right.
and it's different there than here.
Mhm.
And I was asked to go to a church service, and I was asked to go and say something at
Mhm.
the front. And I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? I don't know anything about this. So I reached out to a friend of mine who
Mhm.
I knew would be able to help me and
Right.
help me write something that would be appropriate
Right.
for the occasion because we don't do that here. At least
Right.
I've never done it.
Okay.
So the same thing in Jamaica that I had to go. They had church service,
Mhm.
and then you recall up front and say a few words about things, you know. And I'm thinking, well, I better get it right. So again, you know, you ask people. So if you have a close friend, people,
Mhm.
close group,
Mhm.
same thing now because Kiwanis is very diversified.
Mhm.
It's not religion based.
Mhm.
It's diversified in all faiths. So um, and and some people don't have it. So when it came to doing that sort of thing, I reached out to somebody who's qualified, like a pastor, and say, you need to write me something that I could say that would not offend anybody. Okay. That would be
Right.
non-denominational type thing, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's what you need to do. So that it was, I think, just surrounded yourself with people you know that will help you and are willing to do that. I think that's tremendous as opposed to not doing that, and then you won't get a good experience.
Right. So how was working with people from different backgrounds influence your perspective?
It doesn't influence perspective in a I would say in a positive way because
Mhm.
then you get to learn how other cultures what they think, you know,
Mhm.
and also even though you know some you know Eastern Canada is so diversified, it's not like the Centennial Club who's chartered in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
The district is just the state of Pennsylvania, so it's not it's all one place. And as you know, you've been there
Right.
before,
Uh-huh.
and so it's a totally different culture. I think Eastern Canada and the Caribbean is there's so much culture that the members themselves in different countries want to
Mhm.
show their culture during the convention by putting in their traditional
Mhm.
dress,
Right.
you know, um, and that is very nice. That makes our culture blend in a lot better, and also some language issues. You
Mhm.
know, we have different languages in
Mhm.
the country. There's some French country they don't speak English. You need
Mhm.
translators, and yeah, it's just, and it's also learning the different ideas that they have, and just say it's not just my idea. You got to
Mhm.
listen to their idea because that's important too.
Mhm. So do you face any kind of like resource challenges or funding challenges? Are those things that the clubs that you've been in, including your current club that you face? Um, how do you handle those challenges?
Well, I'm just gonna, if I can take a step back, because
Mhm.
previously you asked me some of the projects I've been involved in
Right.
since 2020 in Sault
Mhm.
Ste. Marie, the Sault Ste. Marie Club.
Mhm.
They asked me to chair the committee on building a playground at Rosedale Park,
Mhm.
and I had committee, and I got to pick who I want on the committee based on their skill set, and
Mhm.
also members of the Sault Ste. Marie Club with
Mhm.
the other club that was here to help us. And then we had to work with the city of Sault Ste. Marie Parks Department. And our first marine meeting, I remember it was January in 2022, and they had a budget. And I said, look, we don't, they wanted a budget over 2 years. I said, no, we're going to do this all in 1 year.
Wow.
So we went out and fundraised, and
Mhm.
together we raised $234,000.
Wow.
But the majority over during the year in the
Mhm.
12-month period,
Mhm.
the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore put up $103,000 through the club and the foundation. The Sault Ste. Marie Club also put up some money, quite a bit of money.
Mhm.
And then we went out and fundraised. We had a fundraising, and our goal was to raise $40,000, and we raised it in 6 weeks. So by corporate sponsorship.
Wow.
So the other thing too is we applied, and you say why you pay a membership fee.
Mhm.
Well, the Kiwanis International has a foundation called the Children's Fund.
Mhm.
They gave us $15,000 US, which is multiplied with currency to about a little over 19,000 Canadian.
Mhm.
And then we applied to the Kiwanis Foundation of Canada, and they give us a $10,000 donation. So
Mhm.
we gathered all those skill set
Mhm.
and funding to put it all together and work with the city.
Mhm.
Like right now, we're in 2024,
Right.
and really in 2023, the city had all the money, bought the equipment, bought all the play zone that we agreed to, but they didn't have the people to install the playground because they have to be licensed. And
Mhm.
they only had so many people that are working. Now the playground is almost done, and we're going to have a grand opening next spring. And
Wow.
it's a year-round plan. So that was some fundraising, and
Right.
so some clubs have money. My other internet club, Kiwanis Club of Northeastern Ontario, we're a new club. We got chartered in 2020 during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and we met online as we do, because we meet face to face when we do service projects sometimes.
Mhm.
But we have a challenge as an internet club to trying to raise funds. We just finished a fundraising, but it's not in the hundreds of thousands. It's in like $1,000. So, but different groups, we like to do hands-on service. You
Wow.
don't need to have money to provide service.
Right. You can provide your time. And then and listening to you and doing this playground for the community, you're building bridges with the community, you're building connections as well. And I guess your reputation as well, because you said that you got some corporate sponsorship. So in order to get that, you kind of really have to have a good reputation within the community where people want to partner with you to do different projects as well. I have a question to ask, and I think this is on behalf of a friend who always asks me, and I feel, why let us do that? So when you say, why do you volunteer? What motivates you to do this?
For me personally, volunteering's been in my blood since I was a child.
Mm,
My parents instilled to me to give back to others when I was growing up. And
mm,
I think I throughout my whole life, when I was to school and everything, even in college and everything after that, I
mm,
always volunteered to give back to the community.
mm,
Um, the I think it's important. That's why it's important when you have the K kids and the Builders Club in elementary school, which is the foundation of the youth, you're instilling them to volunteer and give back to their community, whatever that community means to them. And they develop and they come up with the idea themselves. And I have to tell you, quite honestly, they have more ideas than we do. And they're not afraid. That's the thing. They're not afraid when you have an election and you want to run for president and they're in the class of 26, 28, 30 students, and you got 6 candidates for president. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And then you have secretaries, and then they say a few words. We give them like a minute or two and say, why would they vote for you?
Right.
So they say, oh, because I'm a great leader. I listen. So they have all the answers that adults can't even find anymore. So I think if you instill the younger generation to do volunteer as they grow up, they'll volunteer. There's a lot of people that volunteer all over the place, not always in an organized way. They'll volunteer for one event and that's it. But they don't run the event. They just volunteering. They're just providing that day a service. That's it. They're not and that's good because we need all those volunteers. When you have an organization, you could be the chair of that program. You learn different skill set and you use different skill set. So, but I would say what I've seen in our community here, there's a lot of volunteers. A lot.
I saw that one of the roles that you had or have is a treasurer. And then you have experience in the financial sector. Has that informed your approach to managing the Kiwanis clubs and the various projects that you would have done? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually also the treasurer of the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore Foundation. Been the treasurer since 2019.
This is separate from, sorry, say again, the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore Foundation?
Yeah, the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore, our club has a foundation and the foundation manages the money, and that's where we raise money and then we invest money.
Okay.
And my background in the investment field helped quite a bit with that. I'm still treasurer of the division too, so that's a divisional budget. It's not as big as a district budget, that's for sure. But yeah, and also just a skill set and asking people for money. You're right. You have to have a good reputation in the city because, and you have to always deliver on your promise. I always believe that it's better to over deliver than to under deliver. So you kind of give out more.
So you have this rich legacy of leadership and community service. So what are some of the lessons you would pass on to a new member, somebody looking to serve? What are some of the lessons, you would like to pass on to somebody who might want to come in new to Kiwanis?
Well, that's another excellent question. My advice to somebody that wants to join any organization is don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to take a leadership role. You don't wait until you say, well, I need to learn more. Don't wait. Just go ahead and do it because you're going to learn as you go and people will help you. Mentoring is very important. And just find somebody that's going to mentor you. I would say absolutely just go ahead and do it and take a leadership role, become a chair. You don't wait for you to think that you have the experience. Nobody has the experience when they do it the first time. You learn, it's on the job learning. So
how can listeners contribute to Kiwanis or get involved in Kiwanis? I mean, you did say it's an international club, so they're very likely to find a club somewhere where they are. How can they contribute?
Well, I would say the easiest way, no matter where you live in the world, is you go to the Kiwanis International website, which is kiwanis.org. And if you want to find a club, they have a club locator. So you put in where you live and you put a distance and the clubs in your area will show up. So that will pop up, and you can contact. It will provide you with the contact information of those clubs. Hopefully, there's some, and then the person can contact the club and say, how do I get involved? What's your service project, and what do you want to do, and go to a meeting, and that information will be there. You can make a contact to do that, and that's what almost any organization. It depends on what you want to do. Some individual want to help, not just children. They want to help mostly adults, let's say. Well, then adults and seniors, which are, a lot of our seniors are vulnerable people. So
Yes.
if they want to do that, I'm sure they can go and call social services in your area and ask them. It says, look, I'd like to volunteer. There's always organization locally. You can search the wild web. I call it the wild web, but it's a world wide web. But you can do any search engine, and you will find out what organization does what.
So what
So
would you say if somebody asks you, what distinguishes Kiwanis from all the other volunteer and all the other service organizations? What makes Kiwanis special? Why not, somewhere else?
I would say the service leadership program in school. If
Ah.
we can have, we have countries that have a lot of them. There are countries that don't have as many, and there's certain area in Eastern Canada where clubs should get more involved at the school level. So I would say that's what distinguish us basically on an international level. Locally, it would depends on what the club does locally. There's a lot of projects club do locally, and they've done it for a long time, and they're well recognized. When they see this, they'll know, oh, that's Kiwanis.
And on that note, I thank Serge Viau for joining us all the way from Canada. Thank you so much for being on the program.
You're quite welcome, Lana, and anytime.
I want my listeners to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity.